I do not give a fuck about loli. Okay, I cannot overstate this. I don't.
No,
truly,
Queman, no. The onus is on me to refute the clip. Chud, refute this clip from a stream you've not watched, from a time that you don't know about, from a video that you can't get. What do you mean? How the f am I supposed to refute it?
And say what you want about Xanderhall, that he's a big lib, bad with money, dumb, stoner, filming in a church basement, maybe wants to kill his editors, looks like he has AIDS.
Ladies and gentlemen, Queman has very tragically experienced the full ire of cardposting's vision, okay? So basically, Queman, for those of you that don't know, is a young Jewish lad.
Hello there.
Whoa.
My name's Card. I'm a
who has tried to, you know, make it by their own fashion, make it on their own way, right? They've tried their best to stream and stuff. Now, it's funny because this topic of this video, I've spoken to Queman about before, okay? Now, Queman, despite what the rumors say, the takes that I've heard of him when it comes to this topic, which is lolicon, a topic I don't normally like getting into, okay, is that he personally doesn't care about the image aspect as much as other people do, right? So his position is that the drawing of the image or the production of the image of itself doesn't cause harm. However, he thinks that people that look at that sort of material, he wouldn't consider them necessarily a pedophile. Okay, I don't know why people say to that, right? The concept is that the drawing in and of itself doesn't cause a harm, right? That's the claim, that's the concept, right? Now, beyond that, of course, there are other takes that he's got which are more critical. So he doesn't think necessarily conclusively that someone that looks at it is a pedophile, but he thinks, whoa. What I was saying was, what was I saying? So yeah, obviously I understand people hear like it doesn't cause harm or I don't really care about lolicon, and people get very bothered by that because they expect people to mount a very moralistic or significant criticism of this material. And when people don't, they find it to be suspicious, or they find it to be maybe a sign that they're into it, or they find that, you know, maybe they're like a coper, maybe they're a loli fan coper or something like that, right? However, having listened to quite extensively to Queman's takes, so obviously I put my fucking money on the table. And I have said that I will put money on Queman never having like a sort of controversy involving a child, grooming a child, something like that, right? Because people call him, what is it, Quemos Lee or something like that. So I've actually got skin in the game on this, okay? I put skin in the game to say that Queman's never going to have this happen to him. On my head be it, okay? Obviously, some of you will probably think that's crazy, but I know that I can trust this guy, okay? I've staked my reputation on this, right? Now, with that being said, I have also, yeah, of course. The other thing as well that I think with the take of, oh, the image doesn't harm anyone. I understand that people are like, oh, you know, no, there is a harm there. I think the idea is that there's not a child that exists that is being harmed by the drawing of the image. The obvious problem with that is if it's you tracing the image, arguably the child that you're basing it on is being caused harm. And on top of that as well, there's maybe some harm caused to yourself by participating in consuming this content. But anyway, I can understand why people don't like this. I just think that like people aren't willing to engage in it and will often just assume that someone is a pedophile or they're permissive of this stuff just purely on the basis that they've got this perspective on it, okay? Anyway, Queman's fully fleshed out take, there is some, you know, condemnation there, right, that I've heard. So he thinks that people that consume it aren't necessarily full-blown pedophiles, but he does perceive them as being more likely to be pedophiles or something like that, right? That's my understanding of what he thinks about that. And beyond that as well, I think he's against the distribution of that material. From what I understand, it's on the basis that it could be used as a product or a tool to groom children because you're introducing them to sexual concepts or sexual ideas in a way that would be, you know, easily understood by a child because it's drawings, right? So, in any case, as much as I think there are things you could probably be critical of Queman on, you could disagree with him on certain perspectives,
Okay,
he does
that's
have quite a
wonderful.
fully
But
fleshed
how
out
do I
position
make
on this,
money
right?
off depressed people?
Chud, you also trusted Nick the Oreo, and look what happened to your punctured back. Queman, contrarian and edgelorded, too close to the Teletubby loli son.
Thank you for the $5 Canadian. Now, the other problem as well is I think that you need to approach this topic with some level of sensitivity, right? And I think that obviously you can be provocative when talking about it in a way that ends up negatively impacting you. Because you say some crazy shit on stream and that gets clipped and that can negatively impact you. But I think for the purpose of fairness, I think that you need to, you know, really investigate and find all of the kind of perspectives in order to fairly present it. So we'll see. At the end of the day, card posting is also very funny because of his sheer autism. So we'll see what happens here. I'm a bit concerned that Queman has been card posted. We will find out when we watch the video. With that being said, let's have a little look. Queman got some weird takes about loli, doesn't he? With nonce ? In the fucking thumbnail. And then the Nux Taku image behind him. Ooh, uh-oh. Let's find out.
Hello there, my name's Card, and here on my YouTube page I like to make simple little videos about things that cross my mind. Recently, I've been trying to get more into YouTube drama, and trying to develop an appreciation for, and an understanding of, how people make themselves careers, mostly off of watching and responding to other people's online content. And one thing that seems basically industry standard among drama YouTubers and live streamers is that they all largely just watch something, going in blind, and they say their thoughts as they go. Personally, I think it's kind of a weak format for actually responding to the content of any given video. I would much rather prefer to see basically something with structure. You know, you show a relevant clip from someone, then respond with a pre-planned, scripted counter to it, where you articulate your specific disagreement, and repeat that process as much as necessary to make your point. Because, with a live format, not only are you likely to end up making your audience sit through a bunch of content that might not amount to much of any value just to get to the good bits, but if you're responding blindly to a new thing every day, you might just end up doing a several-hour-long live stream where it turns out you didn't have much to say at all. And we, the viewers...
Yes, I'm raped. I accept my raping. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a totally reasonable perspective. And some people are going to prefer different types of content and different types of analysis and stuff. And he raises some good points. I think, you know, I mean, guys, I got to be honest with you here, okay? I got to be honest with you. There are times when I go to stream, and it is what I've decided to do 8 hours a day, 5 days a week to make money. And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to talk about today? What on earth am I possibly going to talk about today? And it's like, oh, okay, well, there's not much going on. I guess I'll find some crazy fucking drama that no one's spoken about yet and see if we can talk about that. Or let's do a retrospective or something like that. So, yeah. Or is he talking about the dead air? Or is he talking about the dead air?
Wait, what? Thing every day, you're likely to end up making your audience sit through a bunch of content that might not amount to much of any value just to get to the good bits. But if you're responding blindly to a new thing every day, you might just end up doing a several-hour-long live stream where it turns out you didn't have much to say at all.
Oh, okay, right.
And we, the viewers, don't get to hear any real definitive statements from you. The personality we're ostensibly listening to get specifically your commentary on the issue.
Okay, is he talking about the dead air? I mean, listen, I have dead air, everyone has dead air, but like, I've got to say, I do make jokes about this with Queman, okay? There is times when I'm like, Jesus, there's a lot of dead air in this, or, you know, like, what was it the other day when we went to watch one of his things? And it was like the first, I was like, is it muted? And it's like, no, it's not muted. He's actually just not saying anything for the first, you know, 10 seconds that I've decided to unpause the video on.
It really highlights a gap between what I would call response videos and react videos.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with liking or watching or making the react content, of course.
You freebooted him while complaining about dead air. Yes. I made Queman. Okay? So if sometimes I want to dip back in for a couple of percent, I'm gonna do that, okay, dude? Right. If I want to come back for a little slice of the pie, and I like a lot of pie, let me tell you, I will be in there, okay?
But it is just something I've noticed. And I'm sure if you've ever thought about it, you could explain and understand the difference too.
Dude, yes, what is it called? Prima nocta, okay? He heard you got a girlfriend, Queman. Well, that's great because I'm here for my 1%, okay?
Some of the streamers out there will go for up to 8 hours a day, and while I can respect the hustle of it all, they can end up only really saying a few impactful statements throughout the whole thing.
Okay.
I ran into this problem recently when I was trying to find out what the kerfuffle with Mutahar from Some Ordinary Gamers was about a month or so ago now. As far as I can tell, the problem was that Mutahar was collaborating with someone with at least borderline pedophilic undertones. Then he announced that he was breaking off that professional relationship. Then he apparently went back on that decision, and then when questioned about why he did all that, Muta equivocated so much he ended up looking bad from almost every possible angle. Okay, fair enough. But while I was trying to figure all this out, I ended up listening to a bunch of streams from someone who seemed to be covering the story as it unfolded pretty closely.
Yeah.
This fella, Queman.
Oh no!
And like a lot of go-in-blind React streamers, a relatively large chunk of this guy's content is not exactly him articulating a response to the situation at length. It's mostly little quips here and there.
No! Queman's getting card posted right now. It's so over. Bros, I don't feel... Your card posted... I don't feel so good. Dude. No.
At no point does Queman ever do anything like a video essay where he summarizes what happened and what his take is. What we get is a drip feed of off-the-cuff opinions over the course of like a half dozen live streams.
Okay, fine, but what about the Destiny coverage? That was really good, wasn't it, guys? Wasn't the Destiny coverage great?
And I couldn't help but notice, anytime the topic of the videos he's responding to veers closely to a matter of whether or not this person Mutahar was collaborating with, Nuxtaku, is or was certifiably a pedophile because he's obviously way too comfortable with loli hentai drawn child porn, Queman often says something off the top of his head that's just a little bit suspect.
No!
And after a while, you might start inadvertently noticing something of a pattern in everything Queman says on the subject. So I just wanted to quickly run through a few examples of what I've picked out. Bear with me, then I'll do some reflecting on what we'll all have just heard.
So the thing is like, I don't know what clips he's going to show. I'd be surprised if it represents the entirety of his perspective on this topic. But this is obviously the issue that you get when you do like a response video, is you can clip things in sort of a disingenuous or misleading way, you know? So I definitely see his perspective about... I experience this myself doing streams, you know, but then watching the entirety of something, you're at least giving it its due, you know, context, right? Like, it's very... There are ways you could be dishonest and do things in certain ways to remove the context or make people try and forget the context. Like, you say a conclusive statement and then a few minutes later it comes up, maybe the audience have forgotten, and, you know, you then ignore that and then it gets disregarded, you know? But, you know, this is going to be rough, isn't it? I can tell already. No, Queman! I've warned you! I warned you! I warned you, Queman! I warned you about this, my son!
Okay, that's
the first
wonderful.
thing that
But
perked
how do
my
I
ears
make
up here,
money off depressed
if you
people?
go back to the
Dread it,
earlier
run from it, the card reaper arrives all the same.
True. Thank you for the tip.
parts of this story and how Queman covered it, naturally he starts at the point where Mutahar is giving his initial side of the story and distancing himself from Nuxtaku.
Tommy C.
And there's a point where...
Tommy C's clapping back. Does Tommy C know about this video? Wait, does Tommy C know about this video? Dude. No, don't let Tommy C know.
Muta is describing how one of Nuxtaku's actions that should have been a red flag in retrospect, that he called out, was this incident where Nux, I believe, made a thumbnail that was a hentai image of a dog raping an underage Game of Thrones character. And here, Queman kind of shrugs that off entirely, makes a sarcastic quip about how it's not a big deal, and that Muta isn't making a belatedly fair point in owning up to not condemning this earlier.
And honestly, you should never even have done this in the first place. But yeah, this is one of those things that kind of like obviously was brought up.
Guys, making dog rape thumbnails, that's not okay. That's not cool, guys. Okay.
And it's one thing
Muta's taking a hard stance 3 years later. All right, guys, dog rape thumbnails, not cool.
that
Strange, but I thought maybe Queman was just attempting.
What is wrong with that? He's being sarcastic. He's mocking Mutahar for having what he presumably is a soft stance years later. The Mutahar's being so soft about it years later when dog rape thumbnails are a pretty extreme form of like an extreme thing, you know? Okay. That one's not so bad. That one is actually, I feel, very disingenuously presented. But let's continue. There's still more time in the video, guys. Queman's about to get card posted.
To be critical of Muta here on the basis that the critique was coming late, but he was just articulating it pretty poorly and coming a bit off the mark here because it's a live react. But then
I don't think he's coming across poorly. That is just Queman's style of commentary. Is, you know, that sort of suck. I mean, he's English, for cripe's sake. Okay, well, listen. The first one I think is a miss. Let's continue.
Getting a bit further into the story, this trend begins to emerge where Queman expresses the fact he doesn't think Nuxtaku has done anything worth condemning, even knowing that his stock and trade is explicitly underage-looking loli hentai. And he seems to want to frame any attempt to try and condemn Nuxtaku on the basis that his stuff is pedophilic as too much of a reach.
This is the exact bullshit they were trying to pull. I remember, I do not give a fuck about loli. Okay, I cannot overstate this. I don't want to give anyone the impression that I'm going after Nux about loli. I don't.
No!
Truly, I don't care.
No!
Keep in mind, in that clip, the greater context was that the, in my opinion, justified outrage over
It's
the fact
over.
that
It's over. He doesn't care about lolly, guys. It's over. No! Queman, I warned you about this, my son. You must express strong critique of lolly at every turn, or it's going to be used against
How
you.
do I make money off depressed people?
Make a new gold, Chud. We deserve it.
Bros. It's not looking good. Thank you very much for the super chat. The timing of this is interesting, isn't it? Just in the midst of the Tommy C. psyop, this video drops.
Cartoon child porn artist Nuxtaku had been courting was drawing images of Keemstar's real-life daughter, which Queman brushes aside, as if he doesn't even understand why people find someone who would proudly draw that sort of thing, or people who want to associate themselves with someone who would proudly draw that sort of thing, so morally reprehensible. Throughout this whole part of the story, as he starts to get more and more people in his own...
Wait, what? When did he say that? Where's the clip of that? Huh? That does not sound like something Queman would say. I'd be exceptionally surprised if Queman was... I'm fairly certain that Queman is strongly criticised, condemned that action, right? What?
I want to give anyone the impression that I'm going after Nux about loli. I don't care. I truly...
What did he say again?
I don't care.
Keep in mind, in that clip, the greater context was that the, in my opinion, justified outrage over the fact that a cartoon child porn artist Nuxtaku had been courting was drawing images of Keemstar's real-life daughter, which Queman brushes aside, as if he doesn't even understand why people find someone who would proudly draw that sort of thing, or people who want to associate themselves with someone who would proudly draw that sort of thing, so morally reprehensible.
Well, why is that not in the clip? Why is that not in the clip exactly? There's a multitude of things that Nuxtaku has been criticised for. One of them is Shadman, and there's other aspects too. There's nothing in that clip that suggests that Queman is saying that he doesn't care about Loli in the context of Shadman drawing Keemstar's daughter. So where can I establish that exactly? That seems quite dishonest. This is the kind of thing that I feel would be settled with a conversation. So, from what I heard, apparently card posting is resistant to having a conversation with Queman. I'm not sure exactly what the truth of that is. But it seems fairly reasonable that if you're going to make a video like this attacking Queman, it's fair that alongside Queman getting a right to respond, which I'm sure he has, you should then also be open to a conversation with the guy, you would have thought, no? That would be the normal procedure of things.
Throughout this whole part of the story, as he starts to get more and more people in his own chat expressing that they think Nux is in the wrong here, and as Queman pads out his coverage by going through other streamers' reactions to the story,
oh, true! That bit's true.
Him more often than any other.
Bro, that bit is undeniable, even in his Destiny coverage. Look, I respect the game, okay? But this guy was like going insane in terms of padding it out with whatever fucking content he could find talking about it. This motherfucker was watching boring dicks like Hutch talk about Destiny. And I'm just like, bro, how the fuck? How the fuck are you watching Hutch talk about this? This guy's so fucking boring. Anyway, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I respect it. I'm sure the same of the inverse is true, okay? And I'd probably do the same thing, to be honest. So, listen, I'm a hypocrite, okay? But the point of padding it out is true, and that also applies to me.
Is variations on the classic loli apologist argument, why do you care, they're only cartoons?
I don't care. I don't care. It's fucking cartoons.
This was starting to...
Whoa, hang on. What? Okay, dude. Bro, that was like a tiny snippet. That was like a tiny fucking snippet, bro. That was like, how long was that clip? It's out of context. What's the actual context then? I don't know. You guys are going to need to start fucking linking this shit to me if you want me to view it. I've not got any of the context available to me. And he's not provided it in his comments either. Chud is actually sweeping this. How is it sweeping to notice that the clip is very short and it doesn't seem to relay exactly what he's talking about?
More and more red flags in my eyes. But where I really started having to double take what I was hearing from Queman was when the big Mutaha Mea Culpa video came out, and Muta was in his apologetic arc and trying to address some of the issues that people were bringing up about him. Because this is how Queman approached the issue of Muta.
I don't think there's a context that makes that better, Chud. Yeah, but I don't know what he's talking about exactly. That being said, I mean, I'm sure there's clips of him saying crazy shit about Loli on other occasions. I've watched some of his streams. But the point is that card posting has come up with this concept of who Queman is. And he seems to have clipped it in a way to paint that narrative. But so far, there doesn't seem to be a demonstration of other positions that he's clearly stated. The onus is on you to refute his clip. Okay, right. You're going to have to get banned, unfortunately, because you're being a real massive... In fact, I'll maybe give you a timeout. The onus is on me to refute the clip. Chud, refute this clip from a stream you've not watched, from a time that you don't know about, from a video that you can't... What do you mean? How the fuck am I supposed to refute it? This guy streams for hours a day. Unless I know specifically what it is. The onus is on him to provide a source of what he's looking at that allows me to then go and look at it further, if you're not going to include the whole video or include more context. It's a clip that's so tightly cropped, how the fuck am I supposed to know where to find it, you fucking moron?
Muta flip-flopping.
Dude, these people are so fucking weak. It's crazy. It's so fucking... Why do they get so antsy? Why do they get so antsy about being called like pedo defender?
I know what we're going to do. I figured it out. Oh my God. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Dude, this is a throwback. I've got it. I figured it out. Perfect piece of content. The Queman 2 hours hate. Who remembers this that I did before? We're going to do it again with Queman if he's up for it. I'll host a stream on my platform so that we get maximized viewership, okay? And then anyone that wants to call in to debate Queman on his position on any of this will be allowed to. What do you reckon? Do you reckon Queman would be up for that, wouldn't he? Yes, perfect. Oh my God, this is such a good idea. Yes, new month, fresh month. We'll figure it out. I mean, we'd probably broaden it out to any issue that you've got with him. You can come and hash out with him.
Just because, like, maybe they have like so fucking it. Why do they get so antsy? Why do they get so antsy about being called like pedo defender? Just because, like, maybe they have like a stance that some fucking retard on Twitter doesn't like.
Queman asks, why would someone get so antsy about being called...
Wait, what was that? What was that?
Because this is how Queman approached the issue of Muta flip-flopping.
Dude, these people are so fucking weak. It's crazy. It's so fucking... Why do they get so antsy? Why do they get so antsy about being called like pedo defender? Just because, like, maybe they have like a stance that some fucking retard on Twitter doesn't like.
Queman asks...
Okay. So yeah, he's being critical of Mutahar because he feels Mutahar's worried about being called a pedo defender. I mean, again, it's a very tightly cropped clip. It feels like the concern in regards to the clipping thing is coming to pass because some of these are like seconds long, you know? So I don't really know what to make of that. I need a longer, firmer clip. Hopefully he provides something soon that is more damning, because so far, we're halfway through. I gotta be honest with you, this is a miss so far. This is a miss. This is a miss. He's cutting out the dead air. When you put the dead air back in, it's actually a 2 hour long clip.
Why would someone get so antsy about being called a pedophile defender? Now, I would have thought it would be obvious, because being a pedophile defender is a bad thing. No one normal would like to be called that. Hey, you watching...
Okay. Even in the clip, though, Queman is calling the person with that take on Twitter a retard, right? Okay? Oh, look! Hey! The truth hurts! He is just interpreting my rhetorical question as genuine confusion. Also, ha ha ha, dead air so funny. Oh, you know it's getting to him. You know it's getting under his skin, don't you? Little tip, Queman, okay? Little tip. From father to son. Don't let people know what bothers you or they're going to do it more. So presumably, I think the point that's being made is a retard has got a position that would make you a pedo defender. Why would you care that a retard has got a stupid position that would make you a pedo defender? Like the idea being it's a worthless position,
how do I make
right?
money off depressed people?
Queman's own fans do a better job of smearing him as a nonce. I remember these streams and Card is either way too autistic or dishonest to engage.
Yeah, dude. What about all the times he talks about cunny? What about all that? What about all his cunny comments? Dude, Card posted, if you're listening to this, you're missing a trick. Dig deeper. Dig deeper, okay? Dig deeper and you shall uncover some treasures, alright?
Video right now. Would you like it if someone called you a pedo defender? No, you wouldn't. Queman, apparently, doesn't understand that, or intuit why that is. And I think that being a pedo defender is bad is not...
No. I think Queman understands very well that getting called a pedo defender is a bad thing, right? And if you had someone that had, say, fully molested a child and you were defending that action, then yeah, it's reasonable that you would say that's a pedo defender and that's fucked up. But I think the Queman is pointing out that there are people that have got a very retarded conception of what being a pedo defender is, and therefore you should not be concerned with someone with a retarded take on what being a pedo defender is calling you a pedo defender.
Opinion of some retards on Twitter.
Okay, that's
Thinking
wonderful.
that being
But how
a
do I
pedo
make
defender-
Exactly, and also,
off to
yes.
press people?
Spencer Howard is absolutely correct. He didn't even use any of the Tiaga defense clips.
Terrible. Dig deeper card posting. Yeah. Yeah, the point is, if some nobody autist called you a PDF grape apologist for your videos, why would you care? Yeah, exactly. And it's also the idea that he is so attached to his audience that he allows that to bother him to make his positions, you know?
That being a pedo defender is bad is not just the opinion of some retards on Twitter. Thinking that being a pedo defender is bad is a very normal, common opinion. And surely everyone who is not out to defend pedophiles doesn't like to be called a pedophile defender. I really truly think it's great that almost everyone online, regardless of their other political leanings, we can all sit down together and shake hands and agree that pedophilia is bad.
Dude, oh my god, dude. No way, dude. Pedophilia bad. We all agree, right? Pedophilia is bad, guys. Dude. Insane. I can't believe we got this in the video. That's crazy. That is insane.
I feel...
And just to be clear, just to be very clear what the issue with that is, okay? Because of course, pedophilia is bad, okay? The reason it's so absurd to state it in the way that it's stated there is because it's something that is so broadly agreed on, and people that cause harm to children, people that
Okay, that's
molest
wonderful.
children,
But
rape
how do I
children,
make money off
abuse
oppressed
them
people?
digitally with video, you know, consuming the content. Okay, thank you for the super chat. It's such an obvious, clear sentiment that it comes across as this virtue signal to state it like that. Pedophilia is bad. Well, we all agree that pedophilia is bad. We all agree that actually harming children, molesting children, and so on is a terrible, atrocious thing to do. It's just that, you know, there's some topics that come up where people have got like the wood chipper meme in their head that they don't take a step back and think about, you know, certain aspects of the topic that aren't really explained away with pedophilia bad, right? You know, that's the issue. That's the problem. And people use it as a stopgap for, you know, someone's trying to have a conversation about how do we stop children getting molested, right? And that is an extremely complex issue that requires a societal solution that we don't necessarily know the best way to do that. Or not stop, I should say. How do we significantly reduce it? What steps can we take to make sure that going forward this is less of an issue that we have to contend with? And the response is often, what is the response to that normally, guys? What is the response to that point? It is, wood chipper, wood chipper, wood chipper. The cure for pedophilia is a bullet. Bah, 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 bah. You know, and it's like, well, hang on a minute. I get that there's a visceral desire to cause harm to those that would do wrong to children, but that isn't the solution to the problem, because you can't execute pedophilia out of society, right? Because no matter how many pedophiles you kill, there's always going to be people that were going to cause harm to children in this way, in one way or another. And how do we contend with that? And how do we deal with that? Now, I personally tend to not really want to get into those conversations because it's such a complicated issue in terms of how we fix this or how we deal with this.
How do I make money?
And you should do
off
it
the
cautiously. Thank you for the super chat. But it's the rejection of willingness to engage with this concept that people find so frustrating. And it's why it's so, you know, irritating when people say pedophilia bad. Because it's like, well, you're not really engaging with a fundamental discussion. You're just spitting out something which you think makes you look good because you're so plainly disavowing something that everyone knows is horrendous and condemnable anyway. So that, hopefully, explains what the issue is. Or I could have just said wood chipper. Maybe I should have just said wood chipper a bunch of times. But anyway, hopefully that explains it.
Like the vast majority of people who do any sort of politically tinted content online, from the liberals to the tankies to the anarchists and all the flavors of various commentary chud on the other side, everyone can agree pedophilia is bad, being a nonce is bad, and loli hentai is definitely intentionally an attempt to sexually draw children, and that's bad. But Queman alone dares to ask, why would you care if people thought you were a pedophile? It's no biggie.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make
And
money
here-
off depressed people?
Queman can't be pro-nonce, he was denounced by Mr. Girl. Despite years of apologia and eagerly awaiting his new book,
Thank you for the $5.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make
Thank you for the super
money
chats,
off
guys.
depressed people?
Card should have did an in-depth study on Queman grooming black Asian people like Stylo into loving loli and being enthusiastic about penis on Discord.
Thank you. Thank you for the super chats. But the point is, if someone's conception of what pedophilia is so far removed from a meaningful understanding of the issue of it, or even what it is, why would you care about that? Here's a good example. You are 22 years old, and you go to a college campus to meet an 18-year-old for a date. You are then pursued by a bunch of people on campus who call you a pedophile and try and chase you down. This is actually based on a real case. And they call you a pedophile. Now, beyond the actual harm of them chasing you down, attacking you, etc., why should you be concerned about their conception of you being a pedophile? Because it is rooted in a complete misunderstanding of what it is and why it's such a terrible, egregious thing. Yes, this is a true story. A 22-year-old went to meet an 18-year-old college student in a catch a predator type sting, and they got like chased by students, they got imprisoned by these students or something. There's a whole case about it, right? So why I'm not going to care about that person and their conception of, you know, that 22-year-old being a pedophile, because it's not rooted in a correct understanding of what being a pedophile is. So obviously, yes, it's bad to be perceived of as a pedophile, but then if that person's understanding is not rooted in reality, then who fucking cares what they think about it, you know?
Here, when I was starting to think there's no way he couldn't say anything
Oh,
else
no.
worse,
No!
you're about to see Queman reacting to Xanderhall here. And say what you want about Xanderhall, that he's a big lib, bad with money, dumb, stoner, filming in a church basement, maybe wants to kill his editors, looks like he has AIDS. Yeah, we've heard it all. But he's actually going to make a very cogent point here about how the Nuxtaku loli fixation was being played off as a joke right up until it wasn't, and that someone calling him out should have come a lot sooner. Queman here has now inexplicably turned his face cam on to give his hot take that jokingly being a pedophile is actually just like a harmless goof among pals and really funny.
Maybe in 2014, that kind of stuff was seen as edgy memes and jokes, but in 2017, you're drawing lolicon, that shit's going to end you, right? And it no longer got taken as the joke that people shrugged it off as for years and years and years, and they took it seriously. The same thing's happening with Nuxtaku right now. It's going to happen to other content creators too. I'm so glad we're heading in that direction, but boy, would I prefer if it was faster. You know, I would really prefer if it was quicker. That like these things stop being played off as jokes and accepted as jokes or memes. They're not jokes or memes. No one jokes about being a pedophile.
Yes,
they
they
find
do.
that funny. No one finds
Yes, they
it funny for
do.
people to,
What?
as a joke, think
Yes,
that they're
they
a
do.
pedophile, okay?
Yes, they do. Yes, they literally. That's incredibly funny. It's incredibly funny to joke about being a pedophile. Actually, it's incredibly funny.
Now, you might think Queeman's just being edgy and contrarian for the sake of...
Do you remember when I played COD? I played COD with those guys, those English guys, right? And one of them came on and said, oh yeah, I just got banned for saying I was going to rape someone. And it turned out that they were like a minor or something like that. And then they got a voice ban for this. And obviously it sounded fucking outrageous. And I was like, fucking hell. But like, his mates were laughing about it. His mates were having a laugh about that and calling him a pedo and shit like that. Or what, I can't remember the exact thing. But you know what I mean? They thought it was a funny thing. So it's like, there are some jokes that I think push it to a line. Like, for example, you know when like on Kick, you'd have an actual child there and they would be joking about being a pedophile towards like an infant or something like that. Like when there's like a child present, that's obviously like fucked up. That's a fucked up thing to do. And you don't know what sort of impact you're potentially having because the child is literally there. But, you know, amongst friends, within reason, yeah, I think that sometimes there are jokes that are rooted. I mean, saying it's like being a pedophile is an excessive way of putting it, right? But because we see pedophilia and the abuse of children, as he says, as bad, as such a terrible thing in society, right? Why do people keep saying I defended Riot Lol? That never happened. I literally reported him to Kick. The comedy often comes in understanding that it's such a bad thing and then someone exhibiting behavior that could fit into that. So one example of this, okay, is when a friend of yours in your friendship group comments on the appearance of someone and someone else knows that they're underage and says that, and then it's like, you fucking pedo, da-da-da-da. The guy's like, no, I didn't realise, and everyone starts fucking joking and calling them a pedophile and stuff like that, you know. And maybe someone leans into it. Maybe someone leans into it and goes, oh, I guess I'm a pedo now, or something like that. You know, there is absolutely comedy that exists about this. And for some people, they might find it, you know, unpleasant, not like it. Some stuff takes it too far. But obviously, Queman is being quite irreverent there in how he's talking about it. But I think it's just true that there is comedy that exists and is exhibited around being a pedo. And in fact, there's people that go on stage and tell these sorts of jokes. Well, I don't know if it's a joke with Zerka, okay? Let's not get too fucking hasty here, right? But there's people who's, you know, got comedy bits that are rooted around jokes about very dark topics, including things like, you know, pedophilia.
Being an edgy contrarian internet persona or something. But he spends an awfully long time defending the thing Nuxtaku was doing that started all this, where he'd do YouTube videos accessible to kids no less, where he'd watch and react to loli hentai videos. And here...
Wait. This is like opposite, unless I missed it. I remember at least hearing or maybe seeing some of the coverage. I'm pretty sure Queman was, you know, substantively critical of what he was doing. I guess we'll see the clip and find out.
Queman then pulls some data completely out of his ass. Source, trust me bro. It doesn't do so much as cite anything at all. But he asserts that actually, Nuxtaku having this video series where he would watch loli stuff with Muta and his other collaborators would actually make him less likely to ever really molest a kid or something. And if you say otherwise, or if you still think that watching loli hentai is wrong, then he thinks you're just virtue signaling. And even worse, you're not even trusting the BS lolicon science he's just made up. Get a load of this.
That if someone consumes lolicon and is able to be open, like not open about it as in do it openly, but like talk to people about it, that they're less likely to offend. And if they watch lolicon and they don't talk to anyone about it, then they are more likely to offend. So if someone is like totally, when someone has a paraphilia, if they have people that they can discuss it with and talk about the urges they're feeling, they are less likely to feel pigeonholed, trapped, and end up acting on whatever urge, whatever usually either self-detrimental or harmful to others urge that they're experiencing. That generally tends to lower the risks of that. I thought Xanderhall was a data guy who was all about uncomfortable.
Isn't he just describing therapy for pedophiles? Oh no. Queman's sending me a bunch of weird links. No, Queman, what are you doing? Uh-oh. What is this? Taken together, the two lines of independent lines of research, one focusing primarily on groups of offenders, the other primarily studying non-forensic samples with varying degrees of risk profiles, complement each other very well by their strengths and limitations. Importantly, the two lines of research support similar conclusions. Exposure to non-consenting pornography, child or adult, can whet the appetite and add fuel to the fire for individuals with a relatively high risk of offending, revealed either by a previous conviction for offending or by scoring highly on risk factor sexual aggression. So this seems to be saying that this is not good for high-risk offenders, to people that have previously done this, but then for low-risk offenders it maybe has some benefit, I guess. Okay. I mean, this looks like, yeah. On the other hand, individuals with low risk, I don't know whether, this is a Reddit post, is it, apparently? On the other hand, individuals with low known risks for sexual offending, revealed either by lack of previous behavioural offences or by scoring low on risk factors, do not show any evidence of increased risk for sexual offending as a result of exposure to such pornography. The problem that you've got with this is, well, how would they go about consuming it? Because, you know, like, they shouldn't be left to their own devices to go and look at whatever the fuck they want, presumably. Is Queman stating it as fact? Is that what he's doing here? Or is he just talking about this concept?
Comfortable on.
Is he he's channeling Mr. Girl?
On science he's just made up. Get a load of this.
That if someone consumes lolicon and is able to be open, like not open about it as in do it openly, but like talk to people about it, that they're less likely to offend. And if they watch lolicon and they don't talk to anyone about it, then they are more likely to offend. So if someone is like totally, when someone has a paraphilia.
Wait, someone just said, yes, he's absolutely stating this as fact. Is he? Where? Well, where is he saying conclusively, this is it, this is how it is, without question?
Okay,
where is he
wonderful.
saying that?
But how do I make money off depressed people?
I had Queman on in the car with my wife and he went on a 3-hour tangent into the underlying research on these points of harm reduction. My wife didn't even think I was more of a freak for listening.
Thank you for the super chats. Listen to how he's describing it.
If they have people, if do it, and is
Get a load of this.
that if someone consumes lolicon and is able to be open, like not open about it as in do it openly, but like talk to people about it, that they're less likely to offend. And if they watch lolicon and they don't talk to anyone about it, then they are more likely to offend. So if someone is like totally, when someone has a paraphilia, if they have people that they can discuss it with and talk about the urges they're feeling, they are less likely to feel pigeonholed, trapped, and end up acting on whatever urge, whatever. Usually,
the real question we should be asking here is why Queman is spending his free time researching what the what sort of lolicon low risk offender should be consuming.
Either self-detrimental or harmful to others urge that they're experiencing. That generally tends to lower the risks of that. I thought Xanderhall was a data guy who was all about uncomfortable data. I guess not, though. I guess he just wants to virtue signal like a fucking loser.
Now, where does this leave us? Here's the thing.
I did it on stream. It wasn't my free time stuff. Oh, look at this. Oh, Queman has learnt from his master Destiny about narrative control. Sending me stuff in DMs. Desperately in the chat, trying to control and twist everything. You fuck, bro!
Like I said at the top of the video, one of the main things about React streamers is how they do this stuff for sometimes 8 hours a day, and even if you comb through a lot of their content on
without hearing what Xanderhall said, like, this is the problem with the context thing. Someone is saying that Queman is stating that conclusively. That would mean that he definitively believes that this is the case. But the context changes if Xanderhall is proposing a point and, you know, Queman is proposing some sort of counterpoint to what he's saying. He doesn't need to conclude that this is the case. It could operate as, well, what about this concept or this idea, right? I don't understand this narrative that he's conclusively stating that he believes that's the case. Like, I need to see more. I need to see more. And I'm not going to go and dig and search for all the context of the clips. Cardposting has failed to provide that. And unfortunately, he has clipped it in a way that, to me, leaves out context. That leaves me unable to firmly conclude on the nature of what Queman is saying here.
double. Now, where does this leave us? Here's the thing. Like I said at the top of the video, one of the main things about React streamers is how they do this stuff for sometimes 8 hours a day, and even if you comb through a lot of their content on double speed, you still only end up getting a few relevant things to clip out here and there. With Queman specifically, I don't necessarily think you could properly, definitively make a judgment call on whether or not he's secretly a massive nonce himself, based off of just what you get by looking for his reactions to stuff when he's covering a topic
fuck for
like
that.
loli hentai in the YouTube commentary community. But I do think there's something here that I'd like to see interrogated a little bit further. Now, I'm not a debater or an interviewer or in that commentary circle of creators at all. I'm merely a hobbyist. But wouldn't it be really swell?
This feels very cowardly. This feels very cowardly that you're going to take a shot at someone and then be like, you know, well, I can't possibly talk to you about this. Like, you just made a video, you know, making implications about Queman. It's reasonable that you would want a conversation. I mean, Queman doesn't, you know, you don't have to do anything. But this is like, you know, a pretty strong criticism that you're making here, or implication of criticism that you're making. Yeah, pre-running.
If one of the established, experienced, big names in the space maybe got Queman on a call or something and got him to give some definitive statements about where he lands on the issue? Because I, for one,
I could do that
think
right now if he
claiming that
wants.
This loli hentai stuff is bad. And you're practically just as bad if you run defense for the people who do openly consume it. And I don't like people who dance around without ever putting their chips down and firmly stating what their beliefs are.
Bro, this is crazy. I have heard Queman multiple times firmly state what his beliefs are. But for some reason, you've used clips where he's not doing that. And there's plenty of clips of him doing exactly that. Well, no. I tell you what, I don't listen, okay? I'll be honest with you. I'm a bit unsettled by this video, okay? I need some time to reflect before I speak to Queman anyway, right? So I need some time to reflect on what I've heard. Because I don't know, dude, he might have to move out of the house. But no, in all seriousness, I really think this, as long as Queman's up for it, I don't want to, you know, speak for him. I reckon he'd probably be up for it, though. And I think he may be, you know, interested in this 2-hour hate thing. Because he does get a lot of shit for some of his takes on this stuff. And I think it would be interesting to allow people to come on and, you know, challenge him on it and have a discussion about some of these topics, you know? And it's up to him to do what he wants to do from there.
I don't want to necessarily accuse Queman of being a pedophile or a pedophilia apologist. But I do want to hear him give some definitive statements as to his thoughts on the matter. And don't you? It's just a thought. Anyway, once again, my name's Card. If you might like to hear more from me, feel free to subscribe to this YouTube page, or just take a look at my other videos. Either way, goodbye for now, and have a lovely day.
Bro, I've got... Apart from the dead air stuff, which he's gotten banged to rights on, I'm actually disappointed. I was hoping that we would have more material with which to mock Queman for being some sort of pedophile, but unfortunately we don't. We don't. It was actually quite lackluster. I've heard worse of myself. That was pretty bad. Where was the actual meat? Like, dude, where's all the tiger stuff? Card posting. Number 1, Tiger, okay? Number 2, what was that fucking at the ball game one? The clip from fucking YouTube drama. Come on, guys, what are the other times he said crazy shit about this? Let's give Cardposting the ammunition to actually make a proper... Let's give him the ammo to make an actual content nuke, and then we can get the fucking content going, okay? His orbiters, Cardposting. I'm telling you this, so you know that Queman has set up some might call it a pedophile ring of orbiters with which to further bring women into the fold, or girls, I should say, into the fold, and some boys, in order to create a organized machine of child abuse. I'd suggest looking into that, okay? Look at his taste in video games. Listen to his conversations with Stylo. Also, you need to investigate Stylo too. Oh dear. Card posting. If you need any assistance, you know where I am, okay? No, in all seriousness, obviously, knowing Queman's takes, the worst I thought it was going to be was, provocative statements about the topic and no, presentation of his actual conclusive
Okay, that's
or
wonderful.
firm
But
takes
how do
on
I
this.
make money
But it wasn't
off
even that,
depressed
really.
people?
Thank you for the super chat, Spitz Howard. These were the calm days. Where's the actual meat and potatoes? Anyway, good luck card posting. But Queman, I will contact you privately. Hopefully avoid all the all these images you're trying to send me. And we'll talk about, if you want to do it, this 2 hours hate. I think that could be fun. Seems like the can Joss is a bit keen maybe. Apparently harmful opinions. Is that true about harmful opinions? He labelled Queman as sus. Is that right? But yeah, dude, that was shit. There was nothing there. The worst clip, I guess, is the study thing. But I mean, that just seemed to be responding to something that Xander Hall was saying, and it was almost entertaining a concept that was being presented in a study, rather than saying, "Then this study is definitive." Although, to be fair, hang on a minute. What about the time that Queman was banning people because they didn't agree with the Trilk concept off the back of one study? Oh! Uh-oh. Damn. I remember that happening. So maybe one study is enough. Maybe I'm sweeping. Maybe I'm sweeping for Queman there. Would you trust him alone with your kids or your money? Money, no. But yeah, dude, I don't think you understand. I trust Queman. I do trust Queman. Sure. I'd leave my kids with him for 5 minutes. Okay, just don't talk about Tiger. Yeah, if Queman wants to call in, he can. I'm more than happy to speak to Queman, of course. Queman is always welcome, particularly when he's in hot water. Oh, he's calling now. He's nervous. Oh. Hello, mate.
Hello.
Whoa. You on your phone?
Yeah.
Shit, the volume's way up. Let me... Okay, try... Hello?
Hello?
Are you sick or something?
No, I'm just laying down.
Have you just woken up?
Fairly recently, yeah.
Bro, what is your... Dude, what is your sleep schedule?
I work the night shift. What can I say?
Wait, do you mean... So, wait, is streaming your full-time thing now?
Yeah. No, I do 8 hours of it a night for less than...
Well, no, because you were studying at one point, weren't you, or something? Have you given all that? Have you given that up?
I don't talk about that online.
Okay, fair enough. Don't want to dox you. Okay. Anyway, dude, what's
yeah.
going on? Talk to me. You're a pedo now, apparently.
Now? No, I expect, I honestly, like, whenever one of these videos gets made, I'm obviously expecting it to be way worse than it is every time. I'm like, oh god, what have I said? And then it's like never actually that bad.
Okay,
so I
that's
must not be
wonderful.
doing
But how do I make money
that bad of a
off
job of
depressed
presenting
people?
my thoughts on this. Obviously, the only thing is I phrased the study thing in a retarded way. I just need to make sure that every time I mention a study, I go, all right, remember, guys, research on the topic of pedophilia and sex crimes is actually super limited, and there isn't good data to support any conclusion about it. So don't take what I'm saying as fact. But here's one thing that I heard in one study that I read, a few weeks ago. Like, that's sort of, I probably have to say that because I guess people think that when you say there's data for this, that means you think this is a proven fact, and there's no way you could possibly disagree with this. And if you disagree with this, you're just denying reality or some shit. But that's really not what I'm saying. in
Okay.
that clip. I'm just saying, you know, Xander Hall, for every issue, Xander Hall will be like, well, look at the study, look at the study, look at the study on UBI, look at this study on how we need to let all criminals out, all black people out of prison. But then the moment it comes to pedophilia, all of a sudden Xander Hall's like, pedophilia bad, let's kill them. It's like, well, you were fine with this for every other time, especially when it's like trans activists as well saying this sort of stuff. It's like, how many trans people are you going to kill if you're like wood chipper or lolicons? It's probably a lot of trans people. Probably might even be most of them.
Okay, now listen. Okay, I hate to do this, okay? There was one stream that I saw of yours, and you were looking at a Reddit post, maybe about this topic, and I believe it was the topic, and you were talking about state-mandated lolicon. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Okay, yeah, that's a misrepresentation. I probably said as a joke state mandated lolicon. However, I think what I said was that distribution should be illegal, but maybe I could see an argument for if you like hand over your ID basically and say, hey, I want to look at lolicon, and then you get put on a fucking list, and if you're basically like tracked. So if someone wants to go look at lolicon, they possibly could, but they would have to essentially sign up to be tracked so that you knew if like, so they were like on a watch list basically. So you could like use red flag laws basically, or something like red flag laws to step in if you needed to.
Okay. I mean, I guess, you know, I just want to give you an opportunity to I guess I could ask a bunch of different questions about this. I think I've got a rough idea of where you stand on this. So cardposting said he wanted a more fleshed out take on your perspective. So what is your actual perspective on all this?
My perspective on what?
Lolicon broadly.
Like, this is so I mean, this kind of like part of my issue with the video is it's like, well, take a firm stance on this. It's like, well, take a firm stance on what? When there's an issue or like a point that I have a firm stance on, I take a firm stance on it. I don't know. I just don't know what he is looking for me to say. Like,
Well,
it's just it feels like his problem is that I'm willing to engage with the topic at all, basically.
Well, I guess, okay, so looking at the video, I guess it's more so like take a firm stance on the topic of lolicon, I guess. Like, what do you think about...
Like, what aspect of it? Like, what am I saying? Like, do I think it's harmful? Like, yeah, sometimes. Do I think it's it should be prevalent on social media? No. Do I think fucking kids should be able to access it? Fuck no. Like, I don't know what position. Like, there's loads of positions I've got around this stuff. But I feel like they're stated.
Well, yeah, I guess you've tapped into it there. And, you know, I think you and I both know what people want when it comes to this topic. They want someone to say, lolicon is bad, and I think it's harmful in all cases and all this shit. So, because when you say sometimes, people think, well, what times is lolicon not harmful or bad?
Well, it's just, the reality is that in a vacuum, just drawing something or just looking at a drawing isn't harmful. I think we can all agree that just that in a vacuum does not have any inherent harm to it. But obviously the harms come with the ways it interfaces in society, right? So having it be very prevalent on social media right now is, or well, not right now, it's always been prevalent on fucking like 4chan and shit like that. It creates like cover for people doing like quite malicious things. So for instance, people use it to like groom kids, to introduce sexual topics to them in a way that they're more comfortable with, shit like that. And it can create cover for when you don't know whether it's just two adults sharing it or whether it's an adult sharing it to a child to try and groom them, or if you know, some adult is engaging in just like some harmless fantasy that they're posting about online, or if they're actually expressing some kind of intent to go and do something. Like it creates a lot of issues there. Obviously, I think everyone knows that seeing extreme pornography as a child can have negative impacts on your psychological development. So yet another reason why it probably shouldn't be on Noxtaku thumbnails and shit like that on TikTok or whatever. Like, but it's obviously the thing in itself. Just loli as like a disembodied concept doesn't have any harm to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, because you're at that point you're specifically differentiating it from actual child sexual abuse material, which inherently
Yeah.
causes harm because a child is being harmed to produce it. Is that what you're getting at
Yeah,
there?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, some people in the chat are kind of agitated about this. Like, I think that I would agree that in a vacuum, sure, but then it gets to the point of, does anything ever truly exist in a vacuum? And like,
Well, sure, but I mean, you can say loads of things are bad in a vacuum. Like you can say, you know, what
when the harm is baked, like CSAM is bad in a vacuum because a child is being abused to make it, right?
exactly. Or there's loads of
I see,
actions
okay.
like Sam that you can just say, here's the act. There is a harm there. There is a harm is unavoidable. Okay, that's very simple in that case. But then sometimes there's acts that aren't harm in a vacuum, but then based on context, can do a lot of harm. That's not to say that they're a less serious thing or it doesn't matter, but the act in itself, it doesn't have a harm to it, and you should have that in your analysis when you're looking at it, right?
Okay.
Because to just go to present it as though it has intrinsic harm in the same way that actual CP does, kind of does a disservice to both of them, I think.
Sure. I mean, there's people in chat that are very agitated. I don't really see what the issue is. Would you be up? I don't want to. You can think about it if you want. Do you think with this idea of like, remember the 2-hour hates I did? I think I did it with Max and with Stardust back in the day. Would you be interested in something like that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know how many people you get. Usually, people are very brave about me in chat and not on VC. So,
because there's people. What's interesting to me is I struggle to see where the arguments are against what you're saying. But there's always people that I see that are like, no, this guy's wrong. He's saying something terrible. And it's like, well, come on and talk about it then at some point. I think that'd be fun.
yeah, I don't think I've said anything, at least here, that is like really even controversial, to be honest, if to anyone that's actually listening.
Okay. And would you be willing to hash it out with Tommy C on this topic if it came up?
Hash it out with Tommy C. I mean, sure, maybe. I can't imagine that'd be very interesting, but
okay. Well, whilst you're here, have you got a moment? If anyone in chat has got any questions, shout Kuihman's way, that's fine. I saw people were complaining about the fact that, like, you go at Nuxtaku for this, but not a Queman for this registered government ID take. I mean, dude, I don't fucking know. It sounds like a concept. Sounds a bit absurd. I don't know if it would be managed.
It's literally,
but...
it's not even, obviously, my take is not, yeah, we should do this. It's something I entertained. I was saying, like, imagine if they did it this way. Obviously, no one's ever going to have any real solution to anything involving pedophilia because, like everyone in chat right now, everyone's completely fucking retarded on this topic and never wants to even think about it, let alone suggested actual policy prescription to try and do something about it. So, no, there's never actually going to be a state mandated, fucking loli watch list, whatever the fuck, because there will never be any solutions for this stuff because everyone who talks about it is a complete fucking retard and they just want to go, well, guys, isn't pedophilia bad? Maybe if we would just agree pedophilia is bad, this will stop. Just convince everyone pedophilia is bad and they'll stop raping kids. Just like the most low IQ engagement.
Okay, I've got an individual called Styler in chat, and he is saying answer the Trilk question. So, what was the Trilk thing all about?
Okay, you totally misrepresented this. I did not time people out or ban people for just not believing, for not going along with it off of one study. The issue was, I was presenting a study that said the trope was fine, and people were disagreeing with it by saying, no, that's wrong. No, it's just gross. It's just gross. It's like, fight the study. Stop, poke holes in the study. Don't just tell me you don't like it, That was what it was about. Okay, I was not trying to force the troll on people. I was not saying, you will live in the pod, you will drink the troll, you will be happy. It was...
Okay.
Just engage with the topic of the troll.
I'm getting some troubling words here that apparently you were demanding counterfactuals, saying it was poisonous. Is that true?
Well, they were saying it was poisonous.
I see. Well, no. Basically, so so they were saying it was poisonous, and you were saying, show me some evidence that it's poisonous. Is that what happened?
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Okay. I fear this
Well,
stylo fellow is trying to
we were
misrepresent
looking
you.
through to see if it had the same nutritional value as well. That was the main point. And I think male lactate is actually capable of having the same like nutrient profile as the female lactate. If you supplement, I seem to remember.
Okay. Listen, look, I'm not really that bothered about this Trilk thing, but thank you for clearing up the situation there.
I think you're very interested in the troll thing for sure.
Oh, you're trying to make some sort of gawk joke? Is that what's going on?
No, I would never.
Okay, mate. Okay, come on, guys. What questions have you got? There must be some more questions. I want Queman to answer if he's really committing to the view that real-world harm is the only obvious reason that animated CSAM is immoral.
What is the alternative to real world harm? Soul damage? Like, what are we talking about here?
Presumably,
you're
there's a
taking-
religious argument there, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not religious.
Okay. Well, there we go. I don't think we can really say more than that. Any other questions? What do you think of Rev Says Desu?
Freak. Grifter.
Okay.
I don't like all these icon guys, especially Rev. Rev is like totally dishonest. This guy just like there is a breed of people who talk about this stuff that, you know, I totally get why people are like, oh, you seem like you just want to defend this. And it's people like Rev who will just lie and manipulate and do whatever they have to do to basically just say, oh yeah, lolicons are awesome and everyone else sucks. And it's like, well, your motivation to defend this with any tactic you can possibly pull out is very you know, that throws up a lot of red flags. It's like, why is this like the battle to the death that you're taking? But
okay.
But
I
yeah.
feel like you've already answered this. Does Queman disagree that loli normalizes the sexualization of children using a medium designed to appeal to children?
Yeah, because that's why it's used by groomers. That's what I was explaining. Yeah, I think I explained that a minute ago, like that exact thing.
What did you? Okay, the carding thing was a reference to card posting. If drawn CP isn't bad, are you defending Shadman?
No, Shadman not only was posting it on like public platforms, I think there's probably harm from like huge distribution of this stuff, but Shadman was drawing real children, which is obviously crazy, fucked up, and causes, if nothing else, at least harm to those, or potential harm to those children. So I mean, I think that the Shadowman shit is totally fucked. I've always said that. I don't know why card posting said otherwise.
Okay. I think he was referring to the context of the first clip where you were saying that you're not going after Nuxtaku for the lolly stuff. Was there further context to that?
He said like I brushed away Shadman drawing Keemstar's daughter or something. That never happened. I always said that was bad.
Okay, dude. Bit awkward for you, I know, but thoughts on Mr. Girl completely disavowing you?
I mean, yeah, first long line of betrayals. It feels like Mr. Girl card posting. You're bringing me on for the 2 hours hate. You're trying to kill me. I'm waiting for Mr. to call me a rapist and probably Mike David to sign me as well. To launch an investigation on me. And then it's over.
Okay. Dude, okay, there's some stupid shit. Okay, so we don't need to go over that. Go on, listen, I want to fucking wrap this up. Any other questions? Okay, how are lolicons not pedophiles when the whole appeal of loli is the fact that it looks like a child? Pedophilia is just the attraction to children, and loli is inherently pedophilic.
Okay, that's wonderful.
I mean,
But
many
how
of
do
them
I
are
make
pedophiles.
Okay. But some aren't.
I don't think it's required. I think that when someone looks at loli, I think there are, for instance, I think it's pretty common with trans people that there's some other fetish or psychological thing that they're scratching that isn't always the fact it's a child. So trans people, and there is a big crossover with this stuff, but a lot of trans people engage in forms of auto-pedophilia, where they essentially imagine themselves as like a young girl, and there's all these arguments around, oh, it's about recapturing, this shit, right? You've heard this shit.
Yes,
it's about recapturing the young femininity that you never had, and it's like it's a bit fucking weird. I'm like somewhat pliable to the argument that there's plenty of other things that can be going on that aren't just being a pedophile when someone looks at Lolicon.
So wait, sorry, you clearly have looked into this way more than me. What does auto-pedophilia mean?
It's where you see yourself as the child.
Oh my god, bro.
There is actually, and people use this as an excuse. They say, "Oh, no, I see myself as a child," but there's actually a lot of crossover between autopedophilia and pedophilia. So if someone says that, it's not actually really a disqualifier. But it is like there are, obviously I think there are other sort of like kinks and stuff that can be going on where someone looks at an image and maybe like, there's one part of it, like it being a loli that they're not particularly into, but there's some other part of it or some situation to it that they are into. I think women do that a lot with situational stuff as well.
Like rape?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think of the argument that there's harm done to yourself by consuming this material?
Yeah, I just don't think it's the same as like alcohol or something like that, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it can be harmful, but also, I'm sure there's plenty of people who've, looked at Lolicon and then not done anything and perfectly fine, engaged with it in a non-harmful way to themselves, right? Like, I'm sure not everyone who looks at a Lolicon image. I mean, think about how many people looked at like the Vosh.
Yeah, sure.
Shit, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone who looks at this stuff is getting like some mental harm from it or some. So I just don't see that. I don't see that. It's like saying, "Oh, aren't you like desensitizing yourself to violence when you watch wrecked threads or gore threads or whatever?" It's like, well, I mean, yeah, kind of, but like, does that mean that everyone who sees it has negative impacts? Like, no, there's no like necessary inherent harm there to yourself, I don't think.
I guess a way you could conceptualize this is imagine you're in a room and you get flashed for half a second and that sort of image. Does that mean that like a harm has been caused to you? But
exactly.
I guess the argument would be, well, consuming it and masturbating to it and allowing yourself to use it as a form of arousal, maybe the harm starts somewhere in that, perhaps.
It certainly could. Like there's a study that says like high risk offenders that they seem to get their appetite whet by the sort of like use of it. And like, so yeah, in that case, that kind of could be like a form of self harm, I guess. But I would just see it as more like, it's not so much that the issue is the person is harming themselves by doing it. I see it as more, if they're doing it, that's a warning sign. That's like, okay, is this person heading down a bad path? It's not like they've harmed themselves and pushed themselves along this path. It's more like it feels more like a thing that could happen at some point along the chain, if you know what I mean.
Someone says it's just fucking weird. That should be enough. Thoughts on that sentiment?
That's a very intelligent comment. I agree, man. Super weird.
I don't know, dude. There's a lot of stuff lying in, dude. There's a lot of discontent towards you. Also, someone said this is softball. It's your fucking questions I'm asking. What more do you want fucking dude? I'm asking your questions. If you think it's softball, Poxy, you suggest a question that you think is more hardball, and I'll fucking throw agreements away. Oh, Gollum says you're out of your depth. Oh, well, there's a candidate for the 2 hours hate. I'm sure that you'll be able to show Queman up, no problem.
Sure, I'll be on air arguing with me, arguing it down. I'm sure. They always are. They're always happy to call in.
Okay. yeah, I feel like that's it, really. I mean, I think we can wrap it up there for now.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for coming on.
I'm speaking to Card. I'm speaking to Card tonight.
Oh, is that are you streaming in a bit?
Yeah. He's coming on in an hour and a half.
Okay, cool. Well, obviously, you know, as always, basically, I'll raid you, but particularly because you come on and talk, I'll make sure I raid you, okay?
All right, cheers. Okay,
Okay, catch you later, mate. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
We've got some content for tomorrow, guys. Dude, bro, you know that I care about this fella, because normally I don't get into all this shit, because it's too fucking stupid and retarded, and it goes to stupid places that I don't like getting into. You can know that I care about this fella when I am. I'd love for someone to actually, like, I'm listening to what Queman is saying. And I'm like, well, what is he saying that's wrong? What has he actually said there that's wrong? It just feels like people want to be outraged at what his take is, but his take is actually not that crazy. Repo Man OG, can you actually make an argument rather than just fucking virtue signal like a total F slur in chat? What is your actual position or argument on this? It's not defensible. What is not defensible? What do you mean? What part is not defensible? What are you talking about? Wait, what's this? It's just weird to care so much about it. I mean, it's a consistency part chart. It's pushing him on his answers. Okay, yeah, you're getting banned. You're getting banned. You go and set up a channel and fucking interview Queman on his loli fixation if you fucking want to, okay? Bro, I said ask questions. It was your questions I was asking at the end. Excellent. Get rid of them. It's too late. They're banned. They're banned for being annoying. He's a little snake. Like when he said, I was just saying there's evidence, not that it's what I actually believed, when he clearly represented it as the truth. He didn't push. Wait. Bro, what do you mean? He gave me a reasonable answer and he said I should have worded it like this because that's what I believe. What the fuck am I supposed to say to that? Holy shit, dude. You people are fucking brain dead. You people are totally worthless retards. Totally worthless brain dead retards that don't have two brain cells to rub together to actually make a point. Like, what do you mean? He gave a reasonable explanation of what the circuit... I should have worded it better because it sounded like I was being conclusive when I wasn't. Didn't mean to be. How? Okay, question to you. How do you follow up to that? What do you say in response to that? I think I disagree with Queman's perspective, but he did answer most of these questions pretty fairly. Plenty of people were just being dishonest, and I don't even like Queman. Yeah, sure. Dude, it is always so funny to me that I will make this kind of strong criticism of Mama Max as being a virtue signaling retard who does like stupid, oh yeah, we think pedophiles are bad. But a lot of you actually just think that. That's actually what you believe. You actually think just like Mama Max does. But you don't see it. But you're exactly the same as him. You're precisely the same as he is. You just want someone to say, this thing is bad, and leave it at that, and not say anything else, and just say the correct take for you, you know? You're just the same. It's crazy. I don't want your fucking stupid... If anyone was ever a fan of Mama Max, you should not watch me. You're too retarded, okay? You should leave immediately. You've been here a year, and I've not managed to teach you. It's done, okay? You failed your exam, you need to fuck off now, okay? Anyway, guys, those of you that are frustrated, watching cartoon pedo films isn't defensible. Sorry if that's a crazy take, dude. Watching cartoon pedo films is bad. You've just done exactly what I'm talking about, dude. And also, would Queman even disagree with that? Anyway, guys, those of you that are very vocal in chat about how terrible Queman is and about how he loves lolicon and all this shit, we're going to be setting up the 2 hours hate. You will get your opportunity. I'm excited because I'm sure many of you are going to be coming on to debate Queman on this to show him up, okay? Stylo, update the spreadsheet accordingly, please, okay? And then if anyone's in chat now that isn't at the call, you're getting banned across all platforms, okay? So make sure you're available.